about sports. All right. We're here for our second show of the week tonight.
Oh, I know what the surprise is.
Second show of the week clue.
Oh, we got Chris.
He's smarter than me.
Call you Teak, Chris Teak Fletcher.
Teak.
Gary Face Kin. Have you ever been called Face?
Yeah, but usually not for a good reason, but yes.
All right. I'm going to be Dave McBean Finoli.
Ooh.
Yeah. You know, gentlemen, let me tell you, on the Tonight Show, it was always important for Johnny to know who his replacement guest when he needed to take vacation was, as I think it's important for us to know who we need to turn the mantle over when we need to take a week off. Are you ready?
I'm ready, man.
There's our replacement.
Certainly would be far more entertaining.
There's our replacement, the predictor.
More entertaining. And intelligent, at least with regard to this end of it, this third of it.
That's right. He's the predictor. He's wearing the predicting hat right now.
Yeah, the predicting
He knows not to wear it right now.
Hasn't made up his mind yet.
You know to wait. So he's my buddy visiting tonight. So I decided to, let people know what the future is. Look at that nose, huh?
It's brighter.
Not quite sprouting yet.
All right.
Takes a little time. Takes a little time for artwork.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to shift gears a little bit this week. Gary, if you don't mind, we're going to have our combat segment second.
No problem.
Because as we mentioned in the last episode, it's been a tumultuous week in Pittsburgh, to say the least. We know that it's been an embarrassing Pirate year, but what happened this past week, just
no words.
There's no words. I mean, this is beyond anything. And anybody who's trying to mix this in with a bad baseball year just needs to get their head out their ass and find out.
Two totally different issues. Yep.
Fletch, while I return our new host to his grandmother, why don't you get us going on what's happening?
Well, guys, I'm officially Derek Belling it on the Pirates at this point with 2 weeks left. Yes, I made it a verb, but I'm done. It's Operation Shutdown for this fan right now, and this is the worst season I can remember, even worse than the aftermath of the drug trials. I mean, it's just horrendous. A team that, we had some hope for at the beginning. I mean, we thought that they were going to have a decent pitching staff. We thought that they would have good relief at the end, a solid bullpen. We saw one of the worst losing streaks, I think, in this franchise that I can recall. That 4-27 streak, that was painful to even turn off, even to just start watching it. The person, I feel bad for a couple of people in this whole thing. One is Steve Blass. His farewell tour spent with these bunch of chuckleheads, not the way you want to go out.
Yep.
And, with what happened the other day, I mean, I know we're not going to get into it, but I feel bad for Clint Hurdle. Having to walk in that day and hear what had happened, and just nobody prepares you for that.
No, and to hear what was being said, insinuating somehow the Pirates knew this when they this is the stupidest. The police are not going to give the Pirates a 1 or 2 month head start so they can try to.
No.
It's just insane. This is unspeakable.
Well, let's just say this. Let's say that the Los Angeles franchise lived up to their name on this one. They truly were the Dodgers because they had to deal with any of this horse shit.
Oh, man.
But, guys, changes are needed, and it's starting at the GM level, in my opinion. This is a team that when he came in, it was bereft of talent. We know that in terms of the minor leagues. Well, we're back to that area now. The winning attitude is missing. There's poor scouting and development. I mean, we've beaten this horse to death.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get by maybe with poor drafting if you have great development, but if you have neither, you're pretty much shit out of luck.
Yeah.
And the fact that he brought in a lot of bad character guys, obviously you couldn't tell anything about Vasquez. But he
was not a good guy going into that.
Correct. Kyle, same thing. Keone Kela, same thing. These are not good character guys.
Yep.
And the fact that you put all of them in the same locker room, things are going to boil over. You have a manager who's, by all accounts, is a player's manager, which is fine, but pretty loosey-goosey ship there. And it's just like people who are the rah-rah guys, after a while, the guys who are the players' managers, they start to lose their teams. And I think we might have seen that.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. I don't know what's going to change because, first of all, the ownership group, I don't think they're going to want to eat a couple of years of contracts for people. I just don't know that that's going to happen. There's also not what's their motivation? They're profitable before the season even starts.
Yeah.
They made more money than the Yankees did, which when you think about that, is just startling. And this is just a bad situation. You got a team that's almost going to be like the Miami Dolphins in that, or maybe it could be like the Miami Dolphins, where you got a team that the players are dying to get out. They're asking to be traded. I'm surprised we haven't seen that yet. But Frank Coonley came out today to apologize. Guys, he could have walked around and apologized in person to everyone who was at the ballpark today. Their attendance is just, in the last couple of weeks, has really tanked. Even though they were up for the year, which I beyond me how that could have happened. I don't know. But just a miserable year. And Dave and Gary, I'm done. I'm not watching anymore. I'm done. And I've never ever done that before. But I just need to heal. I need to stay away from this team. I don't know how much. I'll watch some of the playoffs. Probably watch the playoffs. It's not going to be an enjoyable baseball season for me. This is usually the time where even if the Pirates aren't in, I like them to have that role of the spoiler and try to do some things to other teams, but I can't stop. I'm done.
Yeah. I don't blame you, Fletch. I'm the same way. To be quite honest, the only reason I turned it on today for a little bit had nothing to do with the game, but I wanted to see how Steve Blass was reacting to it because to me, I don't want to say that's the most tragic thing because the most tragic thing is a 15-year-old girl or 15 now, her life is pretty much screwed. It's ruined. That to me is the shame of this all. But, Blass has been a great guy. He's been a great ambassador for the team for 60 years. And not just this happening, but the whole concept of this team. Everything that's gone on. It's been a nightmare end to his career. And I just wanted to appear one more time because I'm like you. I love Pirate Baseball. I will watch Pirate Baseball when they're 50 and 110, but not this team, not these bad characters, not guys who are just going to sit out the rest of the year because they have a little twinge here or there. It's just a bad attitude the whole way around, and I'm sick of seeing people sit out for 2 or 3 weeks because of that. It's a long season. You got to fight your way through it. You get paid enough to fight your way through it.
Professional sports.
Well, I hate sounding like an old man there. Or I hate sounding like a typical fan, but it's true, and it happens so much with it.
Professional stuff.
Yeah, and it's just you got to get started anew. That's the only thing that if you want to rescue this franchise and you want people to start believing in it again, you got to get rid of the upper management. But you're not going to get rid of the upper management. They'd be thrilled if the owner would sell, but the only way the owner is going to sell is if you force him to spend $120 million with a floor salary cap, which is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Baseball is being led down a bad path. We've talked about Manfred. I truly believe he is trying to make this a video game, somehow capture the 15-year-old into baseball. That's not going to capture him. That's not going to capture him.
Nope.
You got to teach him to love this game. You want to speed it up, that's fine, but you speed it up by not allowing a guy to change his gloves 20 million times.
65 times.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, do these picture-in-picture commercials instead of taking extra time in between innings. You want to speed it up, that's fine, but that's not what's going to capture these kids. And the only thing you're doing is pissing off the people who are your loyal fans, like us.
Yep.
In fact, we're having this conversation right now.
Yep.
It should be a blinker to Major League Baseball. But it's not, because we want to make a video game, because that's what the 15 to 18-year-old fan wants to see as a video game. I'm not impressed in any way, shape, and form by the Minnesota Twins or the New York Yankees or, you know, guys hitting 3 home runs in a game in record fashion, because it's being done falsely. It's being done because you manipulated the ball. I mean, that's a game you want, that's fine. To me, you have a league of Dave Kingmans, and that doesn't make for exciting baseball.
No. I mean, when we're so concerned about launch angles, exit velocity, when it's home run or strikeout. I mean, you mentioned the Twins, 5 guys hitting 30 home runs on the team.
They're not stars either. I mean,
no.
It's manipulated. And I mean, the only thing that keeps me around now is, you know, my love of the Indians, and I do think they're gonna nip tuck in there at the end, but if they don't make it in, I'm gonna be like you. I'm gonna watch here and there, but for the first time in 50-some years, I'm probably not gonna be thrilled to watch a World Series or really care if it's going on.
I mean, there's no pennant races.
No.
No. Really.
And wasn't the addition of another wild card supposed to make it more exciting longer in the year? It's just that the whole thing it doesn't feel good. And, you know, Steve Blass, God bless him.
That's a horrible thing. That's a horrible thing. But, I mean, to me, if you had a nightmare scenario, you wouldn't imagine what happened this past week.
No.
I mean, if this is all true, and I mean, I've got to assume there's a lot on the computer to say it's true.
Yeah.
This could be the sickest end to a Pirate career we've ever seen in our lifetime. And from a couple lawyer friends of ours, Sam Rich and Paul Mateague, Sam, our colleague on Unlucky 21, basically correctly predicted there'd be no bail given because he has the ability to pay it, skip out. And that basically what will happen if he's convicted, he's going to serve his time and he's back in Venezuela.
Yeah, he'll be deported by ICE.
Nothing, I would say there are worse things that can happen, but nothing worse can happen than going back there and with the things that go on in Venezuela that we've heard about. You know, but in my eyes, if this is all true, there's nothing that can be bad enough to happen to this guy. It just makes you sick.
It does.
Mentality.
It does.
I mean, I do hope that they put Clint Hurdle out of his misery. I think he deserves better.
He does, and I'm one of the ones that I don't get on the fire Hurdle thing as much as I think he's just following, as baseball has done today, he's following the general manager's directions. When we see weird things happening in the bullpen, we don't know if that's Hurdle or not, but I would tend to think that might be what direction he's being given, because that seems to be the way baseball is managed now from the general manager's office on down, from what you gather. But you're right. I mean, you know, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's a good manager, no matter what's said about him, and he's kept teams together despite what he's been given to put on the field. I mean, what he did by midseason with what he had at his disposal, to me, was nothing short of amazing. It just fell apart. The numbers were true at that point.
Right. The Pythagorean theorem came really good.
Yeah, it was slapping them in the face for a while. They were playing so far over it.
But you also, with a lack of strong leadership and lack of character guys, you weren't able to write that 27-game stretch. I mean, what do you think, Gary?
That's my take. And this has nothing to do with this unfortunate, disgusting incident, which I keep going back to. Wells Fargo had all these idiots putting accounts on people's names and stuff like that because of the pressure they were putting on their salespeople. Wells Fargo's management did the right thing, though. They said, you know what? our brand is so besmirched. We have to change everything. And whether they did it or not, we'll find out. But that's how I feel about the Pirates. You know, this last cap is so ugly. You got to change it all. I mean, Clint may be a good guy. Honestly, I don't know if it was all. I'm not sure I'm with you guys 100% on that, but I'm not there, so I have to defer to you guys. But you can't go 4-27. You can't have some of this shit going on. I'm not talking about some pig that we're talking about here at the end, but you can't have some of this stuff going on. You got to pay the price. And I think a lot of that personnel should pay the price too, honestly. Yeah. So I think the only way you're going to get, whether this guy will spend a nickel or not, and you're right, all these geniuses, Harvard again, like in the front offices, came up with this baseball tax luxury bullshit. And what did it do? It actually hurt the game further. Yeah. All their wonderful educations, and I'm not bitter about it. You know, I've done as well as some of them, quite frankly, not to be cocky here. But my point is the game's underlying problem. You got a guy that won't spend a nickel because he's already making a fortune. That's got to be changed. But beyond that, if this guy really cares about the Pirates and wants to recapture his investment at high returns, he better get different personnel in there, at leadership levels and front office and everything else, because this is an ugly situation now.
Gary, he's already multiplied his investment by 10 times, even if it falls off a cliff right now.
And all the more reason to me to fix the image.
Oh, I agree. Or get out.
Get out.
All you have to know is where was his face when this all happened.
I didn't see a thing. I thought about that, Dave.
You become a leader.
I think that's a little unfair, though, too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's Coonley's job. I don't know that it's
in this situation. If you are the owner, in my eyes, in this situation, I'm not talking about what goes on in the field. I agree. I don't care what he says about that.
No, that's fair.
In this situation, this is beyond baseball.
You're right. You're
running a public organization that depends on public trust.
Right. And I in no way, shape, and form. I think I get mad people trying to blame them for this as if somehow.
I don't think you can do that. Yeah, no, I agree.
And that's not what I'm saying at all. But you need to just have your leader come out. Everybody's sick of that. And you just need a leader to come out and try to say the right things. I mean, he did. I'm not saying he didn't.
If it were me, if I'm the owner of this team, I immediately go into a mode where I'm being proactive with this.
Yep. Yeah.
You have to.
And I'm doing some charitable work.
Yeah.
That's going to put some money toward fighting things like this. But you're right, Dave. Being quiet was not the way to go here. No. You're right.
No. I mean, the guy can't even read his market. The city still gives a shit. It may be different than it was. I'm sorry about the language maybe 30 years ago. I'm not there in 30 years. Maybe back, who knows. But, there's a lot of parts of America, they don't care. It's just everything's an entertainment vehicle.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh people still give a damn about things like this. So this guy's a clown too. You're right. He should have had a public appearance.
I agree.
We're going to fix this organization. Any questions? Next.
Yeah.
That's it.
But you're not getting that. You're not going to get it. But on the lighter side, Antonio Brown farted in the doctor's face.
Well, what it was, they were checking. I don't know if you heard all this or not.
No. Enlighten-us.
He had a bit of a hand injury, and the doctor pulled his finger. But what are you supposed to
do? Are you serious? You're serious about this?
No, it was a farting.
Oh yeah.
He kept farting in the doctor's face and laughing at him.
Couldn't write it. Couldn't write this stuff.
This shit up, Gary.
Couldn't write it. Couldn't write it. You can write. It's like Mad Magazine live.
This is big news. This is big news. So this
was our week. Steeler loss. This horrific Pirate stuff.
It was a bumpy one, yeah.
The Pitt loss. This was a real shitstorm.
It was right in a kick in the stones, yeah.
Which was horrible. It was horrible. He made such a dumb decision at that time because he coached a magnificent game.
He really did. He had him in there, and he had it on a hook.
And the ultimate brain freeze.
Yeah.
wow.
They outthink themselves in football way too often for me.
Yeah. But I mean, take that aside. He outcoached Franklin.
Definitely.
He did.
Defensively, they were hitting Penn State everywhere, and they were giving them all kinds of problems.
You got 2 and 3 stars out hitting the 4 and 5 stars at Penn State.
Yep.
So, and you're down your top 2 linemen. So, again, kudos to them. Kudos to Narduzzi. But the fuck were you thinking?
But, it is the Pitt program, really, in a nutshell.
Close but no cigar.
Close but no cigar.
Yeah, definitely.
Really that's what we're going to have.
I agree. Now, Gary, the long-awaited, we had a great heavyweight title fight, which I always love, the lineal heavyweight champion. That is, to me, the coolest thing in boxing. And Tyson Fury came in a huge favorite, got a huge cut, but really fought a magnificent fight until the 12th round when this kid, I believe his name was Wallen.
Otto Wallin. Yep. Never had seen it. I've watched boxing for 30 years. Never saw this guy. Amazing story. Yep.
He does a Rocky in the 12th round. Almost puts him down. I mean, it was an amazing fight. I don't want to take your thunder. Go.
I know. I mean, I think, I can't even talk about them all in great detail. I mean, typical boxing and even all combat. Like, it was an amazing week, and I'll tick them off quickly. But, yeah, I think the beauty of this is that, love or hate Fury, he's good in front of a camera. He's fairly intelligent. And honestly, he's doing stuff that people never thought he would do. Fight through adversity, stay in shape, not lose his mind like he did after he dumped Klitschko back in 15. And, I mean, it certainly wasn't, again, it's not even Norton Quarry, like we were talking about the other day, Dave. Yeah. But, I mean, you don't see guys do this anymore. Boxing has become populated by the safety first. I got the money. Just get through it. Just win. That's all that matters. Fury realized, I'm in deep shit. I got a big-ass cut. People are going to say, he had in his mind, I think, people say, he can't fight in adversity. He's never been tested because he's so big nobody could get to him, other than Wilder's knockdowns last year. Well, you know what? They're wrong. Fury fought with a lot of warrior in him. He fought tremendously down the stretch. He had more gas than people give him credit for, and credit to Fury, a lot of people might not have done that. Now, I don't know. I think Fury's father, who is bitter about losing the trainer's role, complained about this guy, Davidson, who I think the book is out on, the trainer. I thought they could have done a better job with that. I mean, that was not handled well in my view. They let that thing continue to stay. They didn't do a good job. But
at least they didn't have like a condom that they put on his eye.
I was just thinking.
But Gary, let me ask you this question about Fury. Why don't people like him?
I mean, I think the problem is because, back before we started doing this work together, Fury was one of those guys where he would look great one day, the next day just wouldn't show up. He had lousy shape. He made a lot of stupid statements, too. Statements about women, like the world we're in. A lot of dumb stuff. And then after he dumped Klitschko, which he usually had his best day, he basically lost his mind. He went up to 350 pounds. He started snorting cocaine. He got in all kinds of trouble. I think people just in boxing, they're just unforgiving. But if you look past all that, he's recovered from all that. He's talking about how, I went in a hellhole. I made my own mistakes. I'm going to fix them.
Didn't he tell Tyson he got no joy from winning? I finally went back and I watched that interview, and he said he got no joy from winning the championship.
Right. I mean, when your father's the trainer and your family is the trainer and in your corner, Roy Jones talked about this. A lot of fight, De La Hoya for a while with his father. That's a problem.
Never has worked well in the history of boxing.
You're right.
Right. So there was that. I think Fury is a little bit of a loose cannon. Like I said, I think it was Dave, you and me were communicating about it after. I'm always nervous, though, because, he went so far off the deep end after he dumped Klitschko, which was the prime time to use his popularity, his personality, and everything else. I always worry that, like, something's going to send him off the rails. He's almost like Mike Tyson was that way. But, if you cut past all that and give him credit for recovery, he's a 6'9" heavyweight. He can really box. He's very tough to hit. He's tougher than he looks. He was tougher against Wilder. He was tougher in this fight. Honestly, I think he could dump any of these other names that are bandied about out there, including Ruiz.
I thought he looked impressive. I mean, the first 3 rounds were kind of close, but from 4 through 11, he
Yep. It was a sensational performance under adversity, something he's never given credit for. So hats off to him.
The referee tells him, his corner, it was a headbutt. So if they had to stop the fight, he wins the fight.
Right.
The Nevada Commission went and looked at it. It was a punch. So the referee did not communicate that properly to the Fury corner. It wasn't until HBO told his manager, his trainer.
ESPN,
Yeah, or ESPN, yeah, I'm sorry. Still stuck in my Jim Lantley urgent mode.
Understand.
But until then, I thought that was just poor on the Nevada Commission for not communicating that properly.
Yeah, I mean, that commission's not as good as it used to be. Boxing has faded a little bit in importance in Vegas for one reason or another, and they're just not as good. They're all political hacks, but yeah, you're right. It's not like Margaret Goodman and Ratner, Mark Ratner. It's not like those guys anymore. But you know, the thing about Fury that to me is very impressive here is against Wilder, he was dropped hard with 2 minutes to go in round 12, and he got up and he was fighting back at the end of the fight. Yeah. Wallin came very prepared for this, almost like a Rocky movie.
Yeah.
And Wallin went after him at 12, and Fury stood there, and he didn't duck and run around in circles and shit. Yeah. Roy, you know, people are not giving Fury enough credit for 2 fights in a row. He was a warrior at the key time.
He did a tremendous job. And you know, look, I look at the guy now as a guy who has fun there. I mean, he did the Russian thing last time, the Mexican thing. He's having fun in there, and you know that's a great attitude to have. And you know, I always, you know, want somebody who gets dropped down to that end, hits rock bottom. You root for that guy. You root for that guy to figure out how to make it right.
And isn't it better, guys, when we have a colorful heavyweight champion?
Yeah. Actually, there's a few now. There are a few. Ruiz and him. This is a better. I've said this for years. This boxing has been better than people.
The lineal heavyweight champion.
Yes.
That's still it's important to me. And seriously, Dave, I'm with you. That's still an important aspect with all.
I think it's a great thing. I think it's forgotten. I mean, the Ring magazine, when the three organization thing was at its height of controversy in the 70s and 80s, Ring magazine always made sure you knew who the true lineal champion was, and I love that.
It's a very important thing to boxing history and to people who care about the history, and it's not insignificant. I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let me stay on boxing for one. I'm going to have to go quicker because I don't want to take all the time. But big fight announced. This is an important one. I don't say this very often. November 2nd, Sergey Kovalev, the best light heavyweight, I still think, although getting up in years.
What, the guy who did cocaine with the Capitals?
No, that's
a hell of a wrist shot from what I heard.
Okay.
Kuznetsov. Maybe all those Russians, they're all crazy partiers, so who knows? But Sergey Kovalev he's like a movie. He's a wrecking ball. You probably have seen him a couple times on ESPN. He's also showing a change in his career at the end, that he can box more than people thought, and he's a little tougher under duress, like his fight against Anthony Yarde about 3 weeks ago. He's fighting Canelo Alvarez, the Mexican redhead. Canelo is coming up 2 weights. Not a freak show fight. It's a good one. It's one that everybody should pay attention to. I'll talk a lot more as it comes close. I'm going to be quick because we don't have the time. I want to give you guys your own time.
I want to tell you something before you go on. Patty sent me she did her homework from the last episode. It's a little too disturbing to put on the show, but I just want to give her kudos here for at least doing her job.
But she sent you the position you referred to.
She did, except it was a little disturbing. I'm not gonna,
I understand.
But she did her job.
I think I'm looking at, I don't want to take up all the time. There was a fight in the UFC that was like a movie and a real life Rocky movie. I'm going to say the names. Perhaps next week I'll talk about it so we share the time. Tristan Connolly versus Michelle Pereira. All I'll say in one sentence is this. Connolly wasn't even signed in the UFC on Monday. On Friday, Thursday he signs a contract. He's from Victoria, British Columbia, to fight in Vancouver against a highly regarded prospect from Brazil. Brazil is the Cooperstown of MMA.
Mm-hmm.
And Conley pulled the most amazing upset and comeback you'll ever see in any kind of combat sport. I'll have to talk about it next week because I can't go over it. It was a real-life movie, one of the most amazing things you'll ever see.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say it was You've Got Mail. The movie was.
We need to touch on it next week. There's a lot of interesting things that have been happening in combat sports, but yeah, I think Fury's the biggest name. So we can move on from that.
Well, we'll go our lightning round prediction. Gary, give your prediction.
You know, Dave, I don't want you to get mad at me. I keep trying to think about this. You know, as Chris touched on, this baseball fabricated wild card has always been a little bit of a joke to me. You know, some of these wild cards have won the series, but I understand money and all that stuff. But, you know, I'm a little surprised at the Indians. I know we lose Ramirez. They're going to play the Phillies, who I don't think the Phillies can get desperate about anything. But I actually think that the way this poor season has gone here, for different reasons than Pittsburgh's ugliness, I think a lot of these jobs are on the line. I honestly think that whether it's Kapler to some of the players here, and I'm not talking Harper, but some of the others, they play Cleveland this weekend, which is an interesting series. I have a feeling the Phillies are going to do a little damage there. I have a feeling Tampa's going to sneak in. And that may not be a prediction for this week, but Boston just packed it in, it seems to me. You got bets talking about, wow, money matters, and I love it here. And Boston seems to have signed off. So I think Tampa gets a win of a series or a sweep. I think Cleveland and Philly battle. I think I could see Cleveland getting hurt here. I could see him getting nosed out by a game. I hate to say it. I don't want to say it, but I kind of think it may happen. So
okay. All right.
You heard him. You heard him, Gary. You heard him. I can see that.
I don't want to say. I want all three of them teams to make it, and I want one of the others. Whatever. So
baloney.
How's it feel, Gary, to be baloneyed? How do you like it?
I'll take it. I like it.
I just want Fran to drink. That's all I want.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Fletcher.
All right. I got to put on the predictor hat.
There we go. Oh, there we go. I like it.
You're like an old horse racing press guy with that.
Kind of.
This was my old surfing hat that I would don on the beach after getting
take it off before the surf.
There's a little bit of salt on the top of this hat. It's a little salty. Much like
surfing hat. That's cool.
Much like me. And here's my prediction. And I think Mom on the Right's going to be joining me in this prediction. I hadn't mentioned her in 2 shows, and I don't want her to think that I've forgotten about her.
Yeah, you got to keep that. You got to keep it going. Yeah,
he's in the fetal position. Maybe Patty can catch one of those.
So our Steelers are traveling to San Francisco to match up against a team that's won their first 2 games in pretty impressive fashion. And the turmoil we've talked about by the last show. But guys, I think what it's going to come down to is a Chris Boswell field goal to win the game. The Niners are going to ice him. He's going to kick. He's going to miss. But, fellas, it's going to be a penalty. And he's going to get a second try. He's going to nail it. And the Steelers win as the clock expires by 2 points.
Oh, wow. Rory Jarrell would be proud. All right.
Your details are right on that. We're going to start asking you about what's going to go on in the stock market, both nationally and internationally. So, that detail, that's impressive.
Let's go. There we go.
All right, the Dom hat. All right, my father's pride and joy. Well, last week,
that Pirate Black 71 colors too going.
So. I believe it, man. The mustard. Hmm. Well, because of severe cheating in the CFL last week, I was 6-2.
6-2.
I lost by 2 points, and I blame the referees. I didn't see the game. I didn't read about it, but it obviously, if it went against me, it obviously was a referee.
Maybe they challenged a pass interference call.
Yeah, they might have done that. It could, and it might not have been pass interference, and maybe a couple guys flunked their drug test and were allowed to play.
We don't know.
Don't know, but I can't assume it was because I was wrong.
Particularly in this discipline, particularly in this league, in this discipline, right?
I got the Calgary Stampeders, which, I don't enjoy going to rodeos. I don't know if you do. I don't know. I don't want to offend you guys.
I do it every Sunday afternoon for fun.
I figured.
Yeah.
That's where you don't wear that. But, I keep thinking of Jason and the Argos. Okay? That was a movie in the 70s, right?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Was it a cartoon?
Stop action. Stop it.
Yeah, I think it was a cartoon, wasn't it?
Okay. Well, a wild fancy horse, we'll call them fancy horses. Fancy. Okay? Fancy horses is still going to defeat a cartoon. I mean, why would you name the Roadrunner? Wily Toronto, the Wily Coyotes. I go more there. The Acmes. Jason and the Argonauts. It's like naming them Howard the Duck. Okay, a fairly bad movie from the 80s. This was a fairly bad cartoon. Am I not correct?
Yeah, I don't even remember well what it was. They flying around in space or something. I don't even remember.
I don't know. I didn't watch it. Maybe they were with Elroy. Maybe his boy Elroy turned into Jason and the Argonaut.
It's no Johnny Quest, fellas.
Yeah, he is no Johnny Quest. So I'm going to say, even though I have a distaste for rodeos, horses will trump cartoons, and Calgary will go into Toronto. I don't even know if they play in the Sky Dome. I don't know.
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Ask Patty to check that out.
Yeah.
Tell her not to be so disturbing if it's true.
You asked for it.
I did. I took
you asked for it, so.
So I will take Calgary in this one. I will be 7-2 at the end of this. And my other prediction is the Indians are going to kick ass and make the friggin' wild card playoff, and they're going to embarrass you, Ken.
I'm not rooting
Your
for
Dodgers are dead because of this. Okay? The Milwaukee. You know what the Milwaukee is? Okay?
I do.
I'm putting that on them.
I mean, I'm not. You understand? I'm not rooting for it. I'm just being an objective observer.
You tried to put a Milwaukee on, and you're not Italian. You have no right.
I can't put a Milwaukee on because I'm not of the
background. You have any Italian blood in you?
What's that?
You have any Italian blood in you?
No. Everybody thinks I am, but no.
I'm a full blood. Okay, full blood, 100%. Okay, even though my aunt says that your ancestors lived in the north and probably bopped a lot of people in the neighboring countries. So, but I'm not going to send my blood into these people that tell you what percentage you are. Okay? All right. So I'm 100% Italian. Whammy on the Dodgers for your prediction, and the Indians are in.
You missed a little bit. I don't want it to be that way.
All right.
I don't.
Anyways, we're out of time.
Yeah.
So, that's the sign of the Milwaukee because I don't have the chain. You guys have a good week. I love you both, despite the fact I'm now bitter at you. Okay? Well, who is bitter at you? Anyway, we're getting cut off. You have a nice night.
You too. Right? All right. Chris.